everybody? Welcome back to Play by Play with Jay. I'm your host, Jordan, aka Jay, and I have just two special guests here on the show. One I've known since the 10th grade, and one is actually a mutual friend, but we'll get to that in a second, so I'll let you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'll go first. Hey, everybody. My name's Lindsay Johnson. Me and Jordan, can I, go all the way in?
Not too much.
We met in 10th grade chemistry in high school, and I made her be my friend ever since.
And I'm Essence. I'm the mutual friend. Through Lindsay, actually, we cheered together, and then I started hanging out with Jordan.
And Essence, you're good friends with, or you went to school with my friends Daniel and Amir in New Row, so shout out to New Row. So yeah, Lindsay's a PG County girl. Essence is from New York. Just quick background. So really quick, I'm looking at my questions here. Let's start from the top. So tell the audience about yourselves, right? One at a time. Your sports background, and then your favorite cheerleading moment, because that's what we're talking about today. If you guys didn't know, they're cheerleaders, or they were. They both graduated from UMD, one in 2019, one in 2020. So we got some scholars here too. But yeah, go feel free.
Okay. All right, so I'm from PG County, District Heights, Capitol Heights area. I've been cheering since I was probably 5. I want to say 4 or 5. So literally my entire life, I've tried other sports, but nothing stuck. Like cheerleading, it was just always cheerleading. I was Lindsay the cheerleader forever. And my greatest cheerleading moment or memory?
Whichever. It could be from any level either.
Oh gosh. So one of my favorites, I remember we won nationals, cheer sport nationals, and I was so pressed to get that jacket. That. I was probably 9 or 10. That's I still have that jacket in my closet. But a number 2 would definitely, I think, be competing at nationals for UMD. That's just a life goal. So be able to do that and check that off. It's just I did it. That's it. I'm done.
All right, Essence.
I am from New York, like Jordan said, New Rochelle to be exact, go Neuro. I've been cheering since 9th grade, and it was actually by accident. I wasn't supposed to try out for the team, and I went with a friend, and the friend did it, and I did. Ergo, we are no longer friends, but for that, I'm also a cheerleading instructor for a company called Universal Cheer Association. And my favorite cheer memory was winning nationals in high school. Both the JV and varsity teams won. So that was a highlight.
So y'all talk about nationals. Some people really don't know that cheerleading has competition, or if they do, they don't know how far that it goes. So literally the next bullet I'm looking at is cheerleading is a sport. I think we can kind of just put a period on that. And a lot of people don't recognize it as a sport. So being legit cheerleaders at the highest level, NCAA, but Division 1, how does that feel, people not deeming your sport as an actual sport?
It can be annoying because I feel they just kind of see that we're there for appearances, and they don't never see what we do aside from being there for other sports. So that's kind of something that I know a lot of people, I know a lot of cheerleaders who say that we love supporting you guys, but you don't really know what we're going through as well. We're going through the same thing you guys are going through at practice. So that kind of adversity is there.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Essence. We're the supporting cast to the main character. So we're not seen as the focal point, but we put in just as much, if not more, energy, because people expect us to be there on the side and support, but then we also have our own thing that we do as well. So we have to know how to wear 2 hats at one time.
So being at Maryland, Maryland's, obviously the biggest school in the state, a very notable school, were y'all treated like athletes on campus, or were y'all treated like extras on that campus? How was that?
So I would say, in terms of athletics, we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Really? The actual bottom?
It's bands cheer and dance. We're all right. We're all together. We are not. Nope. We don't get as many of the luxuries as the other sports get. I would say towards the end of my senior year, they started to let us in a little bit more into the athletics realm. But definitely like my freshman and sophomore year, it was like, no, you're not.
And you, Lindsay, you cheered all 4 years. In essence, you transferred in, right? But you were there. So you were there, what, 2 years at Maryland? And then you cheered 2 years. Okay. So what was that like? Like being a transfer versus like being a fresh. I see faces. See, if you're not watching or subscribed to me on YouTube, you're not gonna see their faces. They have some faces. So yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, it was interesting, honestly, because I was coming from home, like New York, and I walked in and it was kind of like, all right, I'm just gonna try out. Like, I'm just gonna do this. And Lindsay can attest to this, like, I didn't really talk a lot. Like, I kind of did, and I just, like, kind of, just made my way and just chilled out. But it was a good experience, like, the girls welcomed me very well. I never felt like, oh, she's a transfer type of thing. Like, we all bonded and we all were able to become a family. So it was chill, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've made.
Yeah, I remember Essence, she reminded me a lot of me, because my freshman year, I didn't talk, I didn't hang out with my teammates outside cheer, like I didn't speak until literally nationals, which was in January. So like for a full year, I was with these girls and I didn't speak to them. So when Essence came in, she literally would come in, do her Santa Tux, go to the sun, after practice, gone. Like she's just gone. And we're like, whoa, like what happened? So she was just like me in that sense. So I feel like that's why I was like, oh no, I like her. Like she about her business and that's it. Like we don't need anything else.
So, I mean, elephant in the room or not elephant in the room. Lindsay's black, Essence is black. There's a few other that I can name off the top of my head, black cheerleaders at UMD. Are there a lot of black women or even black men who cheer?
Like in general or?
Well, we can do in general first and then we can talk about UMD.
I would say yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Has it always been like that? Like, or is it like a growing, like, some sports you see an increasing number?
So for me, it's different because coming from PG County, all I knew was like black cheerleading.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously you knew of like white teams, predominantly white teams or mixed teams, but we had very strong black cheerleading programs from where I was from. So it never seemed like off balance. And if you go out of state, you would see the all black programs and they were strong and solid always. So I always think that cheerleading was pretty mixed. I never felt alone on the mat or felt like I was kind of like one of a couple until college. Now I will say once I got to college, I was like, oh.
All right, so perfect segue. So when you got to UMD and, it's a predominantly white institution, what was that like coming into that?
Yeah, so coming in, I wasn't that alone. It was more than a handful of us, which I would say I was surprised at because I probably thought it was just going to be a handful. Like, you're going to a PWI, that's kind of what you get. But it was more than a handful of us. And I feel like the longer I was in the program, the more it kind of grew. So that in itself was fine. I only felt like a minority on game day when you would go to the stands and then you see I'm the only one of few like in the building versus like on my team. That's the only time where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, got it.
So do you see a lot of representation in coaching? Like I know like UMD has like a few coaches, like Dallas in particular, and I'm just calling out Dallas because we know her. But like or UMD staff or any other like big conference, Big Ten staff, do you see like diversity in the coaching staff or no? I see.
So UMD is good at it.
Okay.
Yeah, 1,000%. When I came in and I saw all of them,
you felt safe. That's good.
Like, yeah, we at UMD, that was the one thing. Even with the coaching staff, it was representative of the team. So it wasn't a predominantly white coaching staff. We definitely had a legit mix. It kind of like how UMD is, where it's like we pride ourselves on diversity. The coaching staff was 100% diverse. Every nationality you probably think of was on that coaching staff. So, we never, even in practice, we never felt alone. But I will say, when we started going to camps and going to maybe other schools for game days, it wasn't that many black coaches that I would see. Like, we were definitely one of the few that had like a multitude of black or people of color on the coaching staff. That's when you start to see the difference and like, oh, okay. Yep. So
that goes to my next point. I just talked about this. There was an article, I saw it on Twitter a few weeks ago, and there was a black young lady from a Kansas school, Ottawa College. Long story short, she got like 30-inch box braids, and like for the men who don't know, 30 inches is pretty long. It's pretty long. But she got, these long extended braids, and then she wrapped her hair up and put it in a bonnet and went to practice, and her coach, who was a white woman, was like, you gotta take the bonnet off, it's a distraction, it's blah blah blah, and the girl was going back and forth with her. And I mean, I don't know, personally, I just don't know why you would get 30-inch box braids during the season. I'm only saying that just because I have a friend who's a cheerleader, so I know sort of the do's and the don'ts, but even still, that's pretty long hair. So like, it turned into a whole thing with the university, and it went viral on Twitter, Instagram. So how do y'all feel about getting certain hairstyles during the cheering season, or wearing scarves or bonnets, or what are like the rules and like there are stuff that people don't know, so like let the people know.
Yeah, let's let the people know.
That's it.
Oh. So I came from like a very diverse high school, and I wore my hair, like we wore our hair half up, half down. That is typically the norm for like all. It's half up, half down is usually what we wear. In her case, I can understand putting the bonnet on. Okay, I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. I can understand putting the bonnet on, especially if those are fresh box braids. Mm-hmm. In cheerleading, especially if she's a base.
So for those who don't know, and I'm glad that I can explain it. Like the base is like the ones, you know what I'm saying? They lift them up. It makes sense. I got a little something. I know. All right, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, like that is understandable because even if she puts her hair up, those can still be stepped on.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
There's so many different things that can happen with it. In terms of the way that it was addressed, I think it could have definitely been addressed differently. Okay, because her wearing a bonnet or her wearing a scarf, or even if I were to wear a bonnet or a scarf to practice, I would want my coach to, if she's going to approach me in a different way, not to like take that off. You're not supposed to wear that. If you really want me to not wear it, there's, I guess, somewhere in the protocol or somewhere in a contract. We got a contract. And it had everything listed because when you go to practice, it's supposed to look like game day.
Yeah.
Day and practice are equal. So if you're going to go to practice, you got to look the same way as game.
That's crazy though. Like they like, so that's y'all standard like all the time, or was y'all standard?
I feel like what people forget about cheerleading is even though we are a sport, we are a performance sport. And part of performing is maintaining the look. You have to. It's a part of it. You can't just look however you want. And I know.
Really, Lindsay? No, I'm joking.
Now, see, don't play with me. See, I knew you was gonna take it there. Oh yeah, okay. You be hating on me. You know you love me.
Okay, love you too. Keep going. Let's go.
So, like, the thing with cheerleading with Maryland is how you come, like how you try out is essentially how you have to look for the entire year.
Okay, so that's fine. So what does that mean? Because I know, because right now if you're watching it on YouTube, Essence has protective styling, but you're gonna see some pictures that I posted. Essence, you had short hair, at least the last time I saw you.
Wear that.
So was your hair short like the entire 2 years? Like that was, and that had to be.
That's how I came to try out. I came the way like this is how I'm gonna be. Like and Lindsay, I mean,
I changed my hair up a little bit though.
You used to wear
a little bit.
She changes her hair. Like Chandler's another one that was on the team. She changed her hair. Like and another like Lyric. We were two of the like only girls who wore our hair natural.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask too, because I used to have, Lyric and I, shout out to Lyric, we were really good friends in school, had classes together. She always had her natural hair, so like, and that's something that not that I don't see it often, but like you might not see it.
Started with straight hair. She started with straight.
Oh, what, freshman year?
Freshman year, she started with straight
and then
hair.
She transitioned. So what is that like? Like how is natural hair received in the cheer world?
Honestly, I feel so empowered on the sideline with my natural
That's
hair.
fire. Shout out to you, Essence.
I couldn't do it. That's why I stuck with the long. We're gonna keep these inches. Y'all won't see this transition. No.
No, I really love it because it's like it gives a different look. Like all of them, like granted, they already most of the time people already see Black women all to be the same, right?
Yeah.
So if we all look different in a way, it's able to shine our light even more. Like there's a girl with curly hair, there's a girl literally bald, there's a girl with hair down her back, there's a girl with locks. Like there are so many different versions of us, and it just shows that we're different, we're beautiful, and we're here.
Yeah.
I like that. That's I was so into what she was saying, I didn't see what I was supposed to say next. So let's just talk about cheering in the Big Ten. Stay still. Cheering in the Big Ten. What was that like? Like just being in like one of the biggest conferences in the country, and then when y'all would travel before COVID, obviously going to away games. You're going to Michigan. You're going to Ohio State. You're going all over the world, basically. Like, what was that like?
It was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. So if you don't know, Maryland was in the ACC before. And then I want to say maybe 2 years before we all came, well, when we came as freshmen, we had switched to the Big Ten. So Maryland was still fairly new to the Big Ten, learning its way around. But it was amazing. Like I definitely wouldn't change that experience for anything. That definitely like one of the highlights of cheering was traveling.
So what is it like you have, because I used to watch, Lindsay would be sitting watching like University of Kentucky cheer clips or like University of Alabama cheer clips. So like what's the difference in like those big like SEC schools, like them big old football schools? Like what are those cheering because I know that y'all know the inside scoop, but y'all talk to those girls or have friends. So what's the difference you would think in like those bigger major conference schools versus Maryland?
Honestly, I would say it's honestly compared to like the other sports.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, because like, granted, I get hyped for game day, like football.
Shout out to the Terps. Shout out to the Terps.
Love y'all. And then like for basketball, you get hyped.
Yeah, basketball, you get hyped.
How large the crowd is, how hype and loud the crowd is. That's kind of how you reflect off of that.
So which was your favorite sport to cheer for, football or basketball?
I'm torn because I liked football before the away games. So like being able to cheer at Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, like I'm going for those. But if we're home, I'm gonna cheer for basketball because like the energy at basketball.
The energy at if you've never been to a UMD basketball game, I tell you what, I mean, doesn't matter where you're sitting. It's insane. So where does Maryland fall in like the cheer programs across the country? Because like I give y'all credit where I think credit is due, but
in terms
I don't know essence.
I think in terms of game day, we are at the top. I think genuinely in terms of like competition. I'm gonna be honest because I was on the team. There's some work that needs to be done. Right? Like, there's always some work that needs to be done when you're transitioning different girls into different spots. Like that can be a lot because sometimes, especially with Maryland, a lot of the girls are the same size. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to kind of juggle that around and do all those kinds of things. And with Maryland honestly being probably one of the hardest schools to get into. Sometimes we don't get a lot of girls. Yeah, and I don't want to say we don't get talent because all of the girls who come in are talented, but we don't usually get the girls who have been cheering all-star at the top level for X amount of years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So sometimes there's a lot of training that has to go in that kind of, takes a little bit of time. But I think Maryland has a lot of potential and a lot of room to grow, and I think they're going to do great things.
That's good. So how what's a day in the life of a UMD cheerleader? Like quick, like just wake up to like let's say practice because y'all been practicing a lot for a long time too, like 6 to 9, like crazy stuff. Like
so for me because I definitely worked from like sophomore year on, so I always had a job. I typically, depending on the day, if so a typical Monday or Wednesday maybe, I would wake up and I would probably go it will always switch depending on the semester. So I would go to class, maybe I have like a 8 o'clock class, maybe a 10 o'clock, maybe even a 12 typically not. Maybe I would leave class around 12:30, go work from like 1, 5:30, come back so I can be at practice by like 6:30, and then practice from 6 to 9. So like once I leave the house from 8 a.m., I know I'm not going back to my house until 9 o'clock tonight. So pack everything in that little book bag because you're not coming back.
Yeah. Nah, that could not be it. Because UMD is already hard. Like, I don't even want to get into I'm getting triggered. But like, UMD are a really, 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 really hard school to just be in and be a student. I should know. I barely made it out myself. So it's like being a cheerleader on top of that, or being a full-time athlete I couldn't fathom it. So, I mean, what was that work-life balance like?
I feel like the work-life balance, I feel like, granted it was a lot, but it was manageable. Like, it's just kind of like you just prioritize, you have to get your work done. You have to go to practice. You have to cheer a game. It's just like there's no option. So it's just kind of like, why complain about it?
Yeah, I feel like what also worked is that, like, at least at the house, all of us had jobs. So like it wasn't like, oh, someone doesn't have a job. Like we hung around the people that were doing the exact same thing as us. So it didn't cross our minds to like not do something. Cause like I see us and she up 6 o'clock eating omelets, like getting ready to go to work. She's like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to work. And I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, like, get it together. I gotta go to work too. Like, it's just what it was.
That's a nice motivator. So y'all formed some tight friendships from cheer. Yes, UMD cheer specifically. Y'all still got, besides each other, good friends.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think you have like that natural. Let me put this out there. I think you have that natural, kind of when you fall out from college and you guys are just kind of getting situated into your lives and your own grooves. So do we talk as much? No, but like if I see them, will we pick up like no time?
If you needed them, they'd be there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's important.
Sure.
So if you could go to any university, right, for cheer. Wait, first of all, actually, let me ask this. Let me backtrack. How was UMD in like scholarships in cheer? Like, of course, they give out basketball, football, soccer scholarships. Were there a lot of like cheerleaders on scholarships? Is that even a thing?
You get a book scholarship.
They don't give y'all scholarships, like.
You don't get a scholarship because it's not considered a sport, so they don't give scholarships.
But I thought it was like legit. I thought it was like.
It was before. It was when it was like acro and tumbling before they had made like the switch to the Big Ten and like things had got cut. So cheerleading was one. So it's not a sport by terms of technical standards, but they still give us some privileges that the sports would get. It's like a gray area. It's really
like
weird.
Those bags. Very
like
nice.
Bags.
Very nice bags.
I gave you one. You're welcome.
Very nice bags. very nice bags.
Yeah,
but like that's it. Y'all just get bags and bows and
you get free access to the games, but we all get that actually. So
So y'all do a ton of work, like extra work. All them practices. How often would y'all practice a week? A number of week.
Is it regular season or competition?
Yeah, regular season. No, I'm not even gonna talk about regular season.
Regular season, it's like what? 2?
2 times a week for 3 hours.
3.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
For 3 hours.
Yeah, and then you would have a game. Then you maybe have your morning tumbling session. Also add that in there every now and then. Essence wasn't there, so like my freshman year, tumbling was on like a different day. So we would literally practice Monday, Wednesday, Thursday morning tumbling, Friday game, Saturday. Sometimes we would have a Sunday practice going into nationals. So yeah, it was.
So per week you're putting in, let's just say like 30 hours maybe.
Part-time job for sure. Yeah, it's a full-time.
And all y'all get is a bag. I can't wait to put the edit. It's gonna be a bag.
And I got a grocery bag.
But nah, there. That's
bag. You get.
So you could potentially might not get a book scholarship.
Yes, potentially.
But if you don't, you basically like going to school, paying to pay or whatever you paying to get out of school, and then you're a full-time athlete. No.
That cheer in college.
You're saying that if I was into it, I could have cheered. No, that's crazy.
I wanted to. That would make me out. Like people that cheer in college, they cheer because they love it. Like there's it's nothing else. We know there's nothing after college. You kind of know that. I mean, you can do the NFL or NBA type cheer, but most
is there money in that?
Not really, no. We know that's the end of our career. It's really college.
Okay, so if you were to or able to go, or a scholarship, came, you can go any university that you want to cheer for them. Outside of Maryland, which university?
Any position, like if this was like not considering that.
What'd you say?
Like any position.
Your position.
Come on, don't do that to me.
I don't any whatever you want.
Okay.
She's excited. I don't know what that means.
I was obsessed with University of Kentucky. Like, my family's from Kentucky. I love the state of Kentucky. Kentucky just had the best cheerleaders in my mind. You couldn't prove me wrong. I wrote to them. They wrote back. It was UK. Go Cats.
So you would have went to Kentucky. Okay. And Essence, where would you have gone?
Honestly, University of Alabama.
What?
Wow. Roll Tide.
I'm a Roll Tide fan. I'm not gonna
What?
Roll Tide.
No way.
1000%. Yeah, they're all girl team. Come on.
So you just said they're an all girl team. So, and UMD had, I think, like a handful of male cheerleaders, right? So is that different, like cheering with like men and then cheering with all? It's different.
Oh yeah, it's
very different.
Cause they be lifting bodies, y'all. They be putting like SSR shoes, like they be on my shoulder. I said, on my shoulder. What?
Yeah,
Feet on the. They really be lifting bodies.
It's a lot different if you do co-ed. I never cheer co-ed, so I was always all girl.
So Lindsay, you were a base. I don't know, right? What were you? Spotter? I don't know. What are you? You ain't no flyer. All I know is that you weren't a flyer. And then Essence, what were you?
Back spot.
Back spot. That just means that they strong, y'all. It just means that they strong. They got the guns for real. So, if you were giving advice to just not just a young black girl, but a young girl, period, who wants to be a cheerleader, even if that's high school cheerleading or just cheerleading for, there's different, teams that aren't school affiliated, just cheer teams, or even cheering at a collegiate level. What advice would you give them?
I would say, just make sure your heart is in it. If you can take it or leave it, like if you ever get to the point where it's take it or leave it and you feel like you can leave it, then let it go. Because cheerleading is not a sport that you want to force yourself to do. It's not fun if you don't love it. So I think definitely just make sure your heart is in it, and then do everything you can to make sure you're progressing in your craft. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. Cheerleading is 80% mental and 20% physical. So as long as your mental is right, you'll get the physical things you need to be the best you can be.
1000% agree with that. And also just be yourself. Like, you don't have to be like the next cheerleader, like the girl that you see on these TikTok videos. Come on, you don't have to be that way. Like, be yourself, because when you try out and when you're on that team, they expect you to be you. And you can't do more than be yourself and put 100% in every time.
That's real. I appreciate that. Well, I just want to thank Lindsay and Essence for stopping in with me today. I appreciate that. They're really doing me a favor. But I appreciate them just coming, kicking, and chatting with me. So thank you guys for tuning into the second episode of my second season of Play by Play with Jay. I hope you like it. If you didn't, well, come back next week. Maybe you'll like it then. Anything else you guys want to say before we sign this off?
Yeah, thank you for having us. I know you've been waiting to get me on here, so.
All right, cut. Time to cut it. Time to cut it. She's not telling the truth. No, I appreciate this stuff. Thank you guys.